Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sincere from the Standard 81 podcast, and I am back with another one for you guys today. But before we get started, let's go ahead and take a 30-second break, and I'll be right back with you in three, two, one. And we are back, and I have decided to add a little background music. Actually, let's turn that background music off because it's going to distract. But before I get started, go ahead, hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate all of you that have subscribed. I am trying to grow my following. So if you know people that are into this kind of content and you feel like it is helping you and it is enhancing your life in any way, share it with them. I'd greatly appreciate it. It will go a long way in helping me to grow this channel. Anyways, today is Rant Wednesdays. I got my notorious cup of coffee. And we are going to get into it. There are going to be several things that I want to talk about here. But the first thing is something I was thinking about this morning. And here's what it is. It is so funny to me. And I was just thinking about this, how celebrities and paid exorbitant amount of money for doing what they do, but essential workers and people who make the world go round get paid minimally. Now, let me say this: doctors, nurses, certain dangerous jobs, they get paid extremely well. I do understand that. But I'm talking about the people who keep our lights on, the people who build the buildings, who make structures and stuff like that. Until you start getting at the top end of those professions, they get paid minimally. Meanwhile, the people who play basketball, who do our music, who do films and stuff like that, get paid millions upon millions of dollars to entertain us, to keep us entertained, when that has never really been a part of history in and of itself. If you look at it, and back in medieval times and times of kings and stuff like that, court gestures were not the high paid in. They were more or less brought in, paid a salary a day for their entertainment, and then they had to find a way to live based upon what they did from day to day until they were once again called in for their services. Yeah, back in Roman Empire, the gladiator games, these guys were mainly slaves, right? And they fought for freedom. They fought for their freedom. They fought for honor. They fought for glory. And if they were to survive these things, they got paid handsomely. But only if they were to survive. So each and every time they went out on that field, it didn't matter how much money they had. If they got killed during that games, it was over. So it just amazes me now how we glorify the things that we once looked at as just something to do. And I'm not saying that to say that these people don't deserve what they have or anything like that, or try to belittle them or make them feel as though, or make you guys feel as though I'm hating or something like that. But it seems to me that the reason we have more people wanting to be celebrities, influencers, athletes, artists, and all this other stuff is because we see how handsomely they are paid and how much they are glorified and revered amongst modern culture. While the people who have honest, make honest livings, the people who make this world go around and set things in order day by day to allow these people to do what they do, get looked at as though they're disposable and they're not worth anything. And to bring that into what I would normally talk about, which is dating, um, you see it in dating preferences, right? And I'm only speaking this from a man's perspective, and as somebody that has no trouble with women. I'm not saying I get a plethora of women, but I'm not an ugly dude. I make my own money. I make a decent wage, um, and I'm able to handle my own business. But I do notice that there's a been a substantial increase in young ladies wanting somebody they consider quote unquote high value, meaning positions of status and financial means that and above beyond the regular, because of the perception out there and the value which we place upon these people. When honestly, in other cultures, these people, while they are valuable to the culture, they're not seen as these grandstanding prize to hold on to. The intellectuals and the people that make the world go round are the ones that are normally looked up to in other cultures. But it seems as if in Western society we have this backwards, and because we have it backwards, it literally spills into everything else that we're doing, and we begin to see that instead of wanting to be more intelligent and be more um, well thought, well educated, well this, well that. People want to be more grandstand, more more notorious. They'll do anything just to get their name in lights. They don't care. They don't care how degrading it needs to be, how humiliating they need to drop themselves low, or what it is they need to do. They're literally willing to sell themselves and make themselves look like buffoons in order to gain popularity, status, and money, especially amongst Black culture. And I hate to say that because I am Black, but it's true. It's a vast majority. And the more and more the years go by, the more and more you're seeing it. But I am thanking God now that things are beginning to happen the way they are, and we are beginning to see society is not getting better because of the things that we have so praised and so implemented. People are beginning to turn the light switch on. They are beginning to see that the things we once glorified and worshiped are really just frivolous. Not to say that there is nothing to wanting to be a musician, an actor, an athlete, or an influencer, by all means, because I would be shunning myself. I'd be hypocritical because in doing YouTube and doing social media, I am trying to influence you guys in a certain direction just as much as anybody in ministry would. So to bring my Christianity into it, an evangelist, a preacher, a teacher, an apostle, any one of those professions mainly are influencers. They influence you by the things that they say and they do. They're not necessarily essential to the way of living unless you're talking about spiritual things. which I hold true to this day. So I would never sit there and tell you that these people are not necessarily, or they're not um worth what they have accomplished. No, because then I would be critiquing myself, and I would be putting myself in that same category. But I am saying it is ironic how the things that we oftentimes praise here in Western culture is not the things that essentially keep the world going. If all the lights go off, YouTubers such as myself and many other content creators, we're done. Power grids go down, we're done. Our income is done. Entertainers, athletes, done. All that's done. Acting, all that's done. That is done. And all that's left is those people that know how to function and do those things. And because we don't revere those things, and we don't treat those things as though they're important, we see less and less people gravitating towards those things. And then the ones that do know it are dying off slowly. And my fear is this: what happens when nobody wants to do it? And we're down to only a few. We need to start making this more appealing to people. We need to make essential work more appetizing, maybe by increasing salaries, maybe by glorify lifting up those things that are more important to our environment and more important to our day-to-day lives, instead of just looking at who's got what and what's got what. As I'm living my life, this is what I'm beginning to find out. Even today, cars are just cars. Sneakers are just sneakers. Jewelry is just jewelry. And after the people who like engage those things as important see you have it, and they notice you, and they give you your stamp of approval and the applause you were looking for, it just becomes another item. It just becomes another thing. And what you wind up doing is trying to get more of these things so that you can win more approval and more praise from people that you barely even know and really don't care about you all that much. That's the last of my coffee. Oh my gosh. So what am I saying in all this? I am saying that if we really want to thrive and we really want to see ourselves flourish in the ways that we thought we were going to, we need to start looking at the things that really matter. And I've said this a lot. Materialism and financial means don't really mean a hill of beans in the long run, because these things are not something that you can take with you. When you're on that deathbed and you are at the end of your life, nobody is going to sit there and talk about how much money you have accumulated, or how many businesses that you've had, or how many sneakers you got, how much clothes you got, whether or not they're going to talk about who you are, what your personality was, what your character was. That's what you're going to be remembered for. You're not going to be remembered for all the stuff you've accomplished as much, unless your accomplishment is grand in the eyes of society and culture, such as Apple, Steve Jobs, such as Netflix, such as Facebook, things that literally change the culture, change society. But for the vast majority of us, myself included, as of right now, we're not going to be looked at as world changers. We're not even going to be looked at as people who made a large stamp on society. We will be a moment in time, which is remembered by certain people until they pass on. Ecclesiastes says that the best, um, what goes around comes around. Pretty much, I'm translating that. And what was here today is forgotten. So we need to start focusing in on what's important and making things more relevant, making essential work and who we are more relevant in today's culture. Moving on to the next. I was once again on YouTube and on the internet spaces, this digital wide world uh, thing that we call the internet. And I seen that they said in this year, marriage have decreased not by half, but over half. And I thought to myself, why is this? And it became quite clear to me that the same thing we were just talking about was the reason why marriages have declined. Now, let me say this. When you don't prioritize and you don't think about what it is that you want to accomplish and your overall greater need for each other, you're going to see less and less marriages. You're going to see people more prioritizing themselves and what they can do versus being together. And it's affecting everybody. Now, guys don't necessarily talk about it as much um, because we have, for the most part, learned how to deal with the fact that, hey, look, um, if girls don't choose us, they just don't. And we have relegated ourselves to now either not doing anything at all or just being self absorbed. But we won't come on the internet and complain about it as much. But for a lot of the ladies out there, it seems to be bothering them. It really does. So much so that I've heard several reports about single mothers, which I'm not trying to bash single mothers offing their children. Yeah, I don't know what the reason for that is for. I didn't look into it, but I can tell you this, it's hard when you don't have a somebody that's helping you. It's hard when you don't have people to give you direction and support you. And we keep on and here's something I hear a lot. Oh, it takes a village, it takes a village, it takes a village. Well, villages are not built without families. And families are not just constructed of single women and children. Villages are constructed of men, women, and children. Let me say that one more time. Villages are constructed of men, women, and children. Typically, you may have a more safer environment where you only have women and children, but you don't have any defense, and you sure don't have any support or stability for the most part. I'm not saying that women cannot support themselves and they cannot do the things in modern day society that men can do. I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination. But what I am saying is there's a reason why God created Adam first and put him in charge of things. There's a reason why We're supposed to lay out the line. We're supposed to lay out the roadmap. We're supposed to do certain things. There's a reason why we are protectors, providers. There's a reason for all this. And when you start taking that out of the equation, naturally, you're going to take other aspects of a village out. And so many people think because we live in a modern society where, for the most part, things are automated, um, they're a lot easy. Accessibility has become a lot easier to get to. The internet is here. Uh, you can travel a lot easier, whether through plane or car. There's so many different accommodations we now have to do things and get places that we forget that with the enhancement of society, we throw out what made us great in the first place. We throw out the very people who help advance the culture. It was men. And I'm not saying that men are uh, these great things that need to be praised and put on a pedestal. But I will say this: you want to do if you want to conquer a a a village and a race of people, or you want to conquer a nation, kill off all the men or belittle them. How do you think slavery came about? Come on, man. Let's think about it for real quick here. If you can get the man of the tribe to feel like they're less than, who's protecting? Despite what the woman king has told you, despite what you saw on the woman king, all right, that's not all the women. All right, let's just get that straight. That's not all the women. All the women are not going to rise up like that. They're not going to train like that. They're not going to do all that stuff. This is not Black Panther, the dual Melage, none of that. Let's be realistic. The question was asked in a street survey. If World War III was to break out, how many women should women be drafted? And a lot of ladies said, nah, 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 nah. So that right there goes to tell you alone that the idea of having women be the defenders of a society or of a village or of a nation is not the best idea. But if you want to conquer, belittle and kill off the men of the society. And you see it in Western culture. The more we begin to belittle and berate and and make men feel like being a man is something to be feared, something to not want to be, it's something not to be achieved, or it is toxic or immoral, the more you begin to corrode the fabric of society. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna say this. Not everything that a man is taught to do, especially in past generations, has been the correct thing to do. But the thing we cannot do is throw the baby out with the bathwater. We can't say do away with all with a whole gender, a whole sex, and say we need to redefine it and redo it over, because that's not the way God intended. We're supposed to go from glory to glory. So that means the things that were there need to be built upon so that we can continue to enhance and grow. And for some reason, we've lost that. For some reason, we keep on saying we need to redefine. And every time we've tried to redefine something, it's been worse than the actual definition of what was before. Instead of saying we need to build upon, we need to examine, we keep on wanting to flush everything down the toilet and remake something in the image that we think is good. When I don't care who you are right now, I don't care who you are. When everything that was made was functioning properly, and then we came in with our own thoughts and ideas, and now everything is just kind of chaotic. It's kind of all over the place. I ain't going to even say it's kind of all over the place. It is all over the place. And now we're beginning to see people say, "What? This is too crazy. What did we have before?" But see, generations are dying off, and soon enough, we're not going to have enough of that generation of these generations to go back and ask what happened before. So this is the reason. Going back to that first point, we need to make essential things important. We need to make learning history actual history, not what we feel is history, not what we want to be history, actual history, both the good side and the bad side. Because what's good, we can learn from and build upon. What's bad, we can learn from and throw away. But we need to learn actual history. We need to learn actual science. We need to learn actual math. And that's the way we get marriage back. That's the way we begin to see young ladies say, I can find a good man now. And I'll say this one more time, man, it's our fault, man, because we allowed certain things. We've allowed certain things to fly instead of saying, nah, we ain't with it. The more we say no to stuff, guys, is the better off we're going to be. The more you say no to yourself and the things that gratify yourself, the better off you're going to be, because that builds discipline and that builds stability, right? And then you're able to say no to your impulses. Then you're able to say no when you see certain type of qualities in women. Then you're able to say no to certain things. And then you can build upon that. That was the problem that happened with Adam. Adam was so caught up into the fact that he had a rib that he could finally call his own helper, that he forgot to say no to what it was she was suggesting. We need to begin to say no to what it is that our Eve is suggesting, especially in today's culture. Because then they will fall in alignment. I told you it was going to be a rant, man. But I'm glad this is all kind of mixing in with each other, because now we're seeing the importance of all this. Now we're beginning to see what's happening. But my prayer is it's not too late. It's not too late. That's my prayer. That it's not too late. And I'm not going to say I know what's going to happen in the future, but I would hope that in changing our minds and, and focusing in on things that are essential and realigning ourselves with the things that matter, we can get to a better place. We can get back to helping each other. We can get back to really growing and doing what it is that we're supposed to do. And that's all I want to say. Guys, check out the Standard 81 podcast over there on TikTok. Got a ton of stuff there. I love posting videos there. Check out my Instagram um, over at Sincere the Artist. I got some stuff there. I just posted one uh, yesterday, as a matter of fact, over there on Instagram. And also, please go ahead and hit that like button. Once again, hit that like button, man. Show your appreciation, man. I'm trying to give y'all content. If you want something different, you want me to do a little something different, you want me to be a little different, shake things up, let me know. And I'm trying my hardest to bring back interviews, but it is doggone difficult to find people that want to do online interviews. So if you are essentially wanting to do an online interview with me, hit me up on my Gmail account. The link is in the description. In the description down below. I greatly appreciate that. And if you're watching this after this has gone live, type second watch in the comments for me, and that will be all. I will see you again on Friday night. And until then, peace.